let's talk about branding today, my friend.
Yeah, I think that would be good, because I think that if you have a small business or if you're an entrepreneur, and I would even say that even in the business world, I always kind of had a personal brand, right? I was the guy with the white glasses.
Right.
That was me.
You got rid of those white glasses, though.
Yeah, I still rock them out at the gym.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because they're very sporty.
They are quite sporty.
So they work well at the gym.
Gym sporty.
But, that was part of my personal brand. It was like, hey, that guy with the white glasses.
Well, it works. They're memorable. It sets you apart, makes you unique.
Yeah.
Gives you personality. That's really what a personal brand is. It's what are the thoughts that somebody assigns to you. So what kind of thoughts and emotions does your brand and do you evoke when somebody sees or hears about you, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think that not enough people sit down and reflect on that,
It's funny you say that, because when I went through business school, they say you're going to walk out of here with a great understanding of how businesses operate. And part of it was marketing, but we never really got into how to build a personal brand. And I think it's, you mentioned it for entrepreneurs, for business leaders, business owners, things like that. It is incredibly important, especially, you look at our space, the real estate industry. You are your own business. And granted, we've got the amazing Remax brand, but you got to be your own brand also.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how to build your own brand during this episode, okay?
Yeah. I love that. I think that's awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
when you were talking about business school too, it made me think about, I've heard you say where they teach you all this stuff, but then they don't talk much about personal brand, if at all. But you as a CEO, right? That's one thing that you're looking at as far as what has a person built before they come to you for a job.
Right. Well, the brand that you walk in an interview with is the brand that we want to see, because that's the reflection of how you operate. That's a reflection of your business acumen, your ability to interpersonally communicate with other people, your ability to carry forth the brand and the mission of the organization that you're applying for a job at. So if you haven't built a personal brand, you're walking in to an interview. I don't want to say this in a bad way, but really as kind of nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't built this aura of value about you. All you've got is your resume and your ability to talk your way through it. Whereas if you walk in with a personal brand, no matter where you're going, no matter what business you're walking into, you walk in with a personal brand and people are going to go, hey, I looked up your personal brand and this is pretty amazing. Can you do this for my company?
Mm-hmm.
So it really, truly does make a difference. And it demonstrates your values. It demonstrates your persona. It demonstrates, values and value that you deliver. So people want to know what you're about and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody, it always drives me crazy when you go on LinkedIn and they're like missing a profile picture.
Right.
Or like a description. You're like, really?
You got the silhouette.
Yeah. The gray silhouette guy.
I'm the undercover guy.
It's like, and you think like, how have you made it this far in life? But yeah, I think coming back to personal brand, one of the things that we talk about is, how do you want to be perceived?
Right.
And that could be in many ways. You could just think about, for me, I've always been a positive person. I've always been somebody who tries to rise above difficult situations and look at the best or the silver lining in everything. My license plate says expect, because, I want to expect things to work out. I want to expect good things to happen. I want to expect people have good intentions, all those kind of things. And that's kind of my personal brand, right? And it's not something I made up. It's just something like, well, what am I passionate about and what am I really focused on it in life. And then that has become my personal brand, right?
Yeah, totally. It is, if somebody says, what are you? Or if there was a phrase written on your headstone when you're in the cemetery, what is your personal brand going to be? Great guy, whatever. But I think, when people talk about who you are and what you do, it's just like talking about a business, right?
Yeah.
So people need to be able to define that, and to define expect, I think, is really cool, because it is, you're optimistic, but you know what the answer is going to be before you go ask the question. And that's really what that's about. It's just like Remax. Remax is a business that builds businesses. That's our North Star. That's what we're going after. That's the company is the greatest real estate company around. But our franchisees and our agents know us as a business that builds businesses. So what should somebody's personal brand be? How do you pick that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you sit down and you think about the things that are important to you, the things that you value, and maybe even survey some close friends and family and ask them, hey, what do you think about me? Or what if you had 2 or 3 words to describe me, what would those be, right? And everyone would potentially have something that they would tell you, and then you could say, all right, let me put that in my personal brand column, Right.
It's a great way to think about it. And it's almost like, you hear about those 360 reviews where you ask everybody, how does Mark do at his job?
Yeah.
What are Mark's strengths and weaknesses? It's kind of a vulnerable situation, but it also allows you to figure out, how do you need to tailor your image? How do you need to tailor your brand in order to be the best person that you can be? Because, nobody wants to be the worst person that they could be.
Right.
So how do I put my North Star out there? How do I put my mantra, my brand, and live to it?
Yeah.
And wear your feelings on your sleeve and be transparent and live your brand. But I think you need to commit to it, and you need to put it out there as well as just have it. So maybe let's talk a little bit about that. How do you display your personal brand to society? You mentioned LinkedIn. We have this huge push on social media. We have the Start With the Win podcast, obviously. So Start With a Win is what we're recording right now. We've got it on iTunes. We've got a few dozen episodes out, and this has really kind of become my personal brand to a great extent, as well as the social media around it, the value we deliver. So
yeah, well, and I think when we sat down last year and started talking about your personal brand, things like memes, for instance, you put out a lot of quotes and things like that. You've been doing that your whole life. I mean, you've enjoyed positivity quotes and quotes about, persistence or hard work or whatever that is. You were probably the guy in your other career who had the poster on his wall, right? With the eagle and the,
you got that right.
The quote,
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where when we sat down and talk about, okay, what is your personal brand? Well, one of them is that quotes of positivity or hard work or, whatever it is. And so that kind of just became, well, that's convenient because we can make those into little images or moving images and put them on social media.
It's funny you say that because, they have always been there. And the funny part is when you think about, oh gosh, what happened to all those? It's like, sand falling through your fingers, but all you got to do is write them down.
Yeah.
All you have to do is save them. So I put some folders on my iPhone in the notes section, the little yellow notepad on your iPhone. And every time I hear something or think of something like that, they go, oh, producer Mark would like to hear this. I write it down as a note. And I know you do the same thing because we trade text messages all the time with, hey, what do you think about this quote?
Yeah.
But ultimately, what it boils down to is, part of your personal brand is marketing your personal brand. If you got nothing to say, you've got nothing to market.
Yeah.
So start gathering those things. I've heard it called a swipe file before, where you just, if you see something you like, you swipe it and you throw it in the file.
Yeah.
And keep it in one spot so you can write a blog post. You can put down an idea to share with your friends, because that's what we're doing. We're having conversations with the people around us, the people that both have a interpersonal relationship with us as well as like a parasocial relationship. So they might know who I am, like one of my agents in another state or another location that I don't see, but they watch what we're doing on social media. They gain some sort of a value from it, and you just saved them time of having to go look for that themselves. by delivering that value to them via social media.
Well, yeah, and I think that you want to be able to have consistency across all your channels, right? I mean, that's really important.
Huge. Yeah.
Because if you are, on Facebook saying, a positivity quote, but then you're over here on Instagram constantly posting pictures of food, it's kind of like there's not a consistent message there, right?
You don't like my pictures of food I post on that?
Listen, I don't think a green drink every morning would qualify as a good picture.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, that looks so good.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think being consistent and just constantly putting yourself in alignment with what you have chosen as your personal brand,
Yeah. So let me kind of summarize what we've talked about so far. So we've talked about finding your brand. What are you? What defines you? Mm-hmm. What are you working towards here? And obviously mine is start with a win. I like these ideas of how do you set yourself up for success and then continue to repeat those. And then we talked about creating, documenting, and distributing value. But where do we put those things? Because obviously we put this on a podcast. Everybody thinks putting out a podcast is ridiculously complicated.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. I mean, and maybe we can have a podcast about putting out a podcast here in the future.
Yeah, well, and we've written a blog post.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you wrote a blog post about the stuff that we use, and
yep, that's right.
I think I interviewed for that. So I have some quotes in that blog post. You can check it out at startwithawin.com.
Well, we even have our second generation of equipment now.
We do
podcast. So we put out the Rodecaster Pro.
Yep,
new soundboard, which is fantastic. Everything's in one place, but anyhow, so we put out a podcast. We have Facebook channels. Yep. So we have Adam Canto, CEO. So we've got that. We've got the Start With a Win website.
Yeah.
What else? We have Instagram. We have Twitter.
Yeah, and we're actually starting to, we film these, episodes, yep. And then we're going to take them and put them on YouTube. So, they'll be up there on YouTube as well. So, it's kind of taking this one medium, right? We recorded a podcast, and then we've taken it and we put it across all these different platforms. And with a consistent look and feel and, imagery with everything attached to it.
So why aren't more people doing this? I mean, it seems like there are obviously a fair amount that are, but people start and stop. They're inconsistent. And a lot don't even start.
Yeah.
What's the deal there?
It's hard to say. I think a lot of it comes down to just putting your mind to it and setting some personal goals and then executing, on it. And if you want to learn more about that, we have lots of podcasts and shows on that. And we recently did an interview with Laura Stack.
Oh, yeah.
Who talked about productivity.
Productivity Pro.
That's right, the Productivity Pro. So check out that episode. But yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where one is people feel intimidated by it, right? Like, we've heard of agents doing simple things like some Facebook ads and getting leads.
Whoa.
It's like...
You mean I can get business off of Facebook?
Right. And it's one of those things where people, they think it's really complicated, and then they try it out and they say, oh, that wasn't so bad. I think I could do this more.
So here's a dirty little secret about Facebook. Making a Facebook ad is really easy.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. And you know what? Google's your friend. You can how to make a Facebook ad.
Right. And it changes all the time. So
right.
You gotta keep up with what the current algorithm says you should be doing, and it's not that expensive to try it. Facebook will say for $5 you can reach this many people, but ultimately if you have a business, you should be doing these things. You should build the brand of your business, your personal brand, if you want. If your business is you as a human being, if you're in sales or something like that. If you own a restaurant, whatever, build the brand of your restaurant.
Yeah.
But for crying out loud, build a brand. It's easy. It just takes you, you talk about doing Facebook. And I always hear about people saying, I'm doing Facebook in my marketing. But you know what they're doing? They're scrolling through the news feed.
Yeah.
That's not doing Facebook. That's like walking down the street, kicking a rock, doing nothing. And you're not accomplishing anything. So ultimately it boils down to create some content that's valuable, assign it to your brand, and get it out the door, right?
Yeah. Totally. Just execute.
Right. And you know what? People don't care if you screw up. They don't care if you mumble your words, or if you're afraid to talk in public, or if the photo, the selfie of you or the video of you isn't production quality. They don't care. They just want to know that you're a human being and you care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then just be consistent.
That's it.
You know, it's not easy for you to put out a podcast every single week. I mean, you travel constantly. You have a lot of things going on. You're running 3 companies. But, you know, you find time, and we record these episodes and get them out there, and we're consistent, you know?
Yeah. And so everybody knows, I mean, we do batch record, so we'll record several of these at once, and then we'll schedule them to go out the door. So, you know, we'll meet a couple times a month and batch record a whole bunch of them and send them out the door. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But yeah, I mean, I think all in all, a personal brand should be something that everyone's thinking about. You know, even though I have a company, my personal brand is more important than really my company, because when I was starting my company, when work was on the table, it was more about who am I than the name of my company, you know? And so I think that's really what's important, that not only, especially, you know, say for a RE/MAX agent, man, they have this powerful, amazing brand, RE/MAX, but you know what? That brand is only as good as that individual is, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that, I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, let's close up with a little challenge for everybody here, Mark. I mean, frankly, I want to challenge all my listeners here to go out and build your own brand. You know, come up with what your brand is. You can go on a website like Fiverr, Fiverr.
Upwork.
Yeah, or Upwork, yeah, and get somebody to make you a logo and start putting that out there with your brand on it, and start creating some content, send some value out there, and build your brand and build your business.